Hi, welcome to
Body Talk.
This is our 6th episode. I'm Jamie.
I'm Luann.
And we're so happy to have you with us. You're in for a special treat tonight, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Because this one is a very interesting lure story about the history of Buckeye Lake, which I heard as a child. We're going to talk about the legend of
Forest Rose.
Yes, Forest Rose. Now maybe you may know that or you may not. But this thing all kind of takes place down where everybody's always been.
Rising Park.
Yes, Mount Pleasant, but for our story it's called
Standing Stone.
Standing Stone. That's correct. And tonight we have our special glasses.
Excuse me, my thing got in the way. Ice cream dishes.
Yeah, ice cream dishes from the Buckeye Lake bus station, which is now Carino's Pizza.
The bus station sold ice cream? That's
Yes.
odd to me.
They had a restaurant in there.
Oh.
When you got off the bus, you went in and went to the bathroom, had something to eat, bought
Got
a
an ice
newspaper,
cream.
had some ice cream. Yeah.
Hit the bus.
We also just want you to know that our little outfits we have on tonight, this is just representing Forest Rose and the Indians that were in Ohio in the time we're going to be talking, which was 1789.
Incredible people that we all learned something from that were here.
Yes, they were. They were incredible. They were Indians. So we're going to be talking about the Indians and what went on during the wars of the Indians and the white settlers. So just bear with us and we're going to take you there.
It's part of our history.
It is. All right. Are we ready to take off our outfits or are you going to leave yours on?
I kind of like
You like
mine
yours?
a little bit.
All right, we'll leave them on. All right, so here we go. Forest Rose is a historic event that was based on true facts that occurred in the bloody warfare that took place between the Indians and the early settlers of this territory that later became Ohio. The battle on Mount Pleasant, which we just talked about, or Lancaster, then known as Standing Stone, is a historic fact. This battle, as related in this book called Forest Rose, which we want to thank Mary Lee for, because she had it. It was very hard to find, and it gave us a lot of interesting facts about, well, the story of Forest Rose. This encounter is considered to be the outstanding feat in arms in the Ohio period of the Indian warfare. Warring Indians in this area were the Wyandots, the Chippewas, the Shawnee, and the Potawatomi. This time period, like I mentioned before, is 1789. Now, this story involves 6 people, and it's a little confusing, so we tried to break it down for you. But the main characters are Albert Maywood, Lewis Wenzel, and Forest Rose. But her real name was Miss Washburn. So we're going to get to that and tell you her real name was Miss Washburn. Now, Father Maywood was a native of Virginia, and he was quite a wealthy planter.
Wonder what he planted. Peanuts?
Well, Virginia would be tobacco, I would think.
Or peanuts, you know.
In Virginia?
Mr. Peanut.
He's from Virginia?
I think I saw some peanuts there one time.
The father of Rose, Colonel Forrester, had one daughter, Little Rose, and Captain Maywood had 2 sons. They were best friends, Captain Maywood and Colonel Forrester, and very patriotic. Well, Colonel Forrester, he got dead in the battle of, you ready for this one? Cowpen. The battle of Cowpen
Okay.
in 1781.
I'm not familiar with that battle.
No, it's a new one on me as well.
They put cows in a pen and then they
I can't really
shoot 'em?
say why.
Okay.
No. The dying colonel asked his best buddy, Captain Maywood, to raise his little daughter as his own.
How sad.
After the war, Captain Maywood came home to his family, and little Rose was already a member. However, he'd lost all his money. His money was gone. His land, his home, and he was, like we said, quite wealthy. But because he'd been such a great soldier, the government gave him 1,000 acres of land in Ohio, which is known now as Washington County, the first established in the Northwestern Territory. So he moved everybody there, built a little cabin on his land, and he didn't anticipate any trouble from the Indians. I mean, nobody nobody felt they were in peril.
No.
You know, we're just gonna clear this land and we're gonna put a little cabin up,
Grow some peanuts, and some
grow some corn, and raise my children. Well, Captain Maywood made no provisions against a surprise attack. He was a bold, fearless, energetic, true patriot, but he was self-willed, self-confident, and short-sighted on certain things. He felt that the Indians would not mess with him if he didn't mess with them. Guess what? Big mistake. Huge, huge mistake.
So his oldest son was Albert. He was an intelligent young man, about 20 years old, but he thought his dad was nuts.
He did.
He begged him to make their home stronger and better and protected, like the Three Little Pigs, or no, that's the wrong story. Three Little Wolves, blow my house down. I forget.
Okay, go on.
I wasn't good at the story time. Captain Maywood spent all his time clearing the land, so in the spring of 1790, his land was ready for planting. They were one of the first white families here, and remember, it's around Marietta, right? Washington County.
Yes.
So they were one of the first families. There were reports of Indian murders in the Muskingum Valley.
Right.
But more settlers came, built block houses, but not Captain Maywood.
No, he didn't build a blockhouse.
No.
No.
So General St. Clair marched with more than 2,000 strong, heading from Cincinnati up towards the lakes and established some forts. He was assailed by an overwhelming body of Indians, a grand combination of several nations, which included Tecumseh, Black Hoof, Little Turtle,
Yep.
Captain Pipe, Simon Girty.
Simon Gritty.
Gritty. Sounds dirty. With a loss of 600 men.
The Indians took him down.
General St. Clair lost 600 men. The defeat of this army got the Indians very excited and more bloodthirsty than ever.
They were really happy that
So
they
they
took
were
him down.
on a mission. So here's where our story really begins.
Right.
Albert's now 22. He was strong, he was tall, he was smart, and guess what? Only two things in his life that he cared about.
Oh, I can't imagine.
His rifle
Yes.
and Forest.
Forest Rose.
Forest Rose. She was beautiful, full of cheerfulness, and they were in love. Albert had it bad.
He did. He had it
He
really
had it
bad.
bad.
You're going to find out later in the story how bad.
So he
had it.
asked Captain Maywood if he could marry Little
That's
Forest.
right. Yeah.
Guess what Captain Maywood said? Hell no.
No.
You ain't marrying my little girl.
No.
Albert takes off to hunt and in the wilderness meets another tracker named Louis Wetzel. Say that real fast.
Louis Wetzel, Louis Wetzel, Louis Wetzel.
I mean, so much for my theory there. Good thing their name's not Mary Woo. They chit-chat in the woods about hunting, and he says, hey, by the way, Albert, there's a hungry band of Indians headed towards your cabin.
Yeah.
What?
What? Albert said?
He told Louis to lead the way where these Indians are headed. When they reached the clearing of the cabin, Albert staggered against Wetzel, who caught him and fainted. The cabin had been burnt down. His father, his brother were dead and scalped.
Yeah. There was a lot of scalping going
A
on.
lot of scalping. Running to look for his mom and his sister in Forest Rose. There in the burning rubble was his mother and his sister, but no Forest Rose. The Indians had taken his sweet little Forest Rose because they wanted her for their own.
Yeah.
They began tracking and saw steps of big feet and little feet.
Well, they buried everybody first.
Oh yeah, they buried people.
And then they said,
We're going to go look for
we're going to
Forest
go
Rose.
get her back.
And set off looking for her. They didn't have GPS back then.
Not the kind we have.
Just had to look for little
GPS could have been in their head. I mean,
Oh,
they
yeah.
did sun stuff, you know, direction of sun and things like that. And stars.
What if it was cloudy?
Then that was a problem, probably.
So they looked for little tiny feet. And they knew they were on the right trail because they saw some little tiny feet.
Correct.
So they quickened their pace. All Albert could talk about was Forest Rose, how much he loved her, and he would die trying to find her.
And Wenzel, he was in. He said, man, you love her so much. I'm with you. Let's go. Wenzel. So he helped his buddy get his girl back if she wasn't dead. They came upon the Indian camp, still warm with the embers. You know, you'd reach in there and feel the little fire and everything. And a ribbon from Forest Rose's hair.
You think she left that on purpose?
Not at that point.
For a trail?
No, because it was clearly she was staked out to the ground while she slept.
But why would she need the ribbon?
She didn't need the ribbon. You're right. She probably left it there for sure. Yeah. And she was staked out. But by nightfall of the third day, they knew they were close to the Indians. And then they saw her. She was a hot mess. Her hair was all disheveled. Her dress was torn. Her feet were bloody and ripped up. I'm telling you. Plus the fact that 4 days ago, she saw her whole family murdered and scalped. Her captors were 4 Indians, okay? A hideous-looking party that was half naked, thick black paint all over them, a belt of long and dirty-looking scalps. Can you imagine wearing those? Well, you can show the belt, but this is not a scalp belt.
It's not a scalp belt.
This is a wampum belt.
Wampum.
Yeah, and it's here at the museum. We have a lot of Indian artifacts here at the museum, so
very
you can look
valuable.
that up, because the
Very-
grandson did, and it means good stuff. Yes. All right, but one of the group was a renegade. Now, a renegade is a white man that's turned savage, okay?
Is that what that means?
Yes, a renegade. And you know how Indians sometimes had the white guys helping them, but I can't imagine the white guys would be any better trackers than the Indians were. But anyway, that's what a renegade was. Albert and Wenzel watched and listened as they offered Rose some water, the Indians, and some beef jerky. She asked, "Why don't you kill me?" And the renegade said, "I want you for myself, little girl."
I think she was a redhead,
Albert,
because then they could find her.
that's true. A redhead. Albert wanted to kill her and take her right away, but Wenzel said, "Not so fast, my friend. Is there a noise that you and Forest Rose could make, and she knows what that noise is?" And he goes, "Whippoorwill,
Whip-a-woo.
whippoorwill, whippoorwill." So the plan was made. Albert headed for the camp, and Wenzel stayed out with 2 rifles ready to shoot. Wenzel had been captured as a small boy, and he has escaped. And this began his hatred for the Indians, because he really does not like them. I mean, there's some stuff comes out of Wenzel's mouth in the book that you would be like, wow, he don't like the Indians. He pursued them for many years and became somewhat of a legend among the Indians and the whites as well. 10, 15, 20 minutes went by, and the whippoorwill, whippoorwill noise was heard. Rose looked all around. She sat up and looked all around. The renegade said, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And she didn't answer. Then everything got quiet again. And then Albert crawls up, whispers in her ear, "I am near with other aid. Pretend to sleep till morning, and I will save you." She bowed her head in answer. And with the coming of dawn, Albert and Lewis got ready. So the renegade got up, cut Rose's cords for the morning, try to get ready for the morning as they started to awake. Boom! Boom! 2 guns went off, 2 dead, 1 renegade and an Indian. Lewis took off, whooping and cussing. They did a lot of whooping and cussing in the book, okay? And the 2 Indians went after him. Meanwhile, the 2 lovers embraced and kissed and talked about the whippoorwill call, and that alerted her. And then all at once the renegade, all bloody and wounded, raised up to kill again. But he said, "Water, water." And Albert gave him some water because he could not refuse a man his dying
He
drink.
had a good soul, Albert.
He was a good guy. Yeah, I
You
guess.
and Emma have a little sign. Whoop-a-woo.
Yes.
Go to hell.
No.
Go to hell.
Our little thing would...
Yeah,
Our little...
I love you.
Our little thing would be... I don't know. I
I
have to think
sprung
about
that on
that.
you,
Yeah,
sorry.
you did. Sorry. Do we have a little saying, Emma?
Yeah, it's kind of like the whippoorwill thing.
It's kind of like whippoorwill. Rose and Albert were kissing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's my turn.
Wait, his last request, but he drank and moaned, and he died. Renegade died. Lewis came back, and they all high-fived everybody. Yeah, we dropped him. We got Forrest. We're ready. Albert and Rose were kissing and so happy to be together, and they ate some food.
Whoop-a-woo. Go to who?
Okay.
Forrest Rose relives the memories of her capture to Albert and Wetzel. She tells them how horrible it was.
Yes.
Plus, you got to remember she saw her family die and burned. And
Yes, stay discreet.
She had been sewing, and she heard the rifle fire when the murdering of her family. She screamed, "Kill me too!" "No, I want you for an Indian squaw." She tells us of her prayers. She was praying and her fortitude and her strength, and she waited for Lewis to come back with a deer because they
Yes.
were so hungry.
They were very hungry.
As they waited for food, Albert finished cleaning the deer. As he bent over another deer, he heard a shriek.
Ah!
Sprang to his rifle. Horrid yells of 20 or more savages sounded in his ear, and the blow to his head put him senseless upon the earth.
Yeah, down he went. So we're back again. They already captured her. They're all happy. We went to get some food, have a little banquet. Boom, Indians are back.
They wanted Forrest,
They wanted her.
and so did Albert.
Yes.
I would like to be captured.
Would you? Maybe.
To see who would come and get me.
Oh.
My son
Well, Cooper would
Cooper
come.
would come and get me.
I would come.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Cooper and I'd make a plan.
All right,
Emma
bring
could
the-
get on it too.
Bring the motor home.
We'll
and
bring the,
catch me.
bring the motor home.
When our young hero again recovers his senses, he is on his back, but not where he fell. He is several yards from camp. He was drugged there by his captors.
You're right.
He was devastated that he had lost his love again. Man, these people are back and forth, back and forth. He felt the back of his head and it was bloody, and he knew he was seriously wounded. He had to go to the ER. Discovering that their prisoner was awake, the leader approached him, and he was very tall and athletic, and in terrible English he asked, "Pale-faced brave, kill him no warrior, so warrior holding up 4 fingers." I don't understand that, but
Well, I explained that to you. This guy who is, what's his name?
Owiga.
Owiga, he is not a chief, but he was holding up 4 fingers because he wanted to know where his buddies were. Where's his scouts? Where's Dead Renegade and the 3 Indians? So that's why he's holding up
Okay.
the 4 fingers.
Thanks for explaining.
Okay.
The great warrior was pissed that Albert didn't have the scalps of his friends. Where are the scalps? I'll tell you where they are if you tell me where if the girl's alive.
Right.
This is like a, what's that guy?
Trial.
Trial. I
Okay.
like trials.
Okay.
Owiga said, "She's dead." He didn't tell them about Lewis.
No.
Albert thought she was alive because why would they kill her and leave her alive? That doesn't make sense. So he told her, the warrior, about the murder of his family and the capture of his beloved Rose.
Right.
The warrior didn't care about that story,
No.
but he went to talk to his Indian buddies.
Yeah. He was like, who cares about your stupid girlfriend? All right.
They came back, tied him up, tied Albert up,
Well, of course there's Indians and he is a white guy.
and proceeded to walk in the wilderness for a few miles. As they walked, they were joined by more warriors. As night drew, they camped, but the hemlocks were so thick in broad daylight it was impossible to see more than 50 yards.
Yeah,
we
so you
still
can
have
imagine that in the woods. I mean, you can't even see 50, in broad daylight, you can't even see 50 feet
Do
in
we
front of
still
you.
have hemlocks?
Yeah, we have hemlocks.
There's a town called Hemlock in Perry County.
Is there?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
He was tied up with stakes and deer leather,
Yeah.
so painful that he was so exhausted and he fell asleep.
So they continued to walk. Now, when we're talking about walking, I'm sure they're making miles a day, so maybe 6, 7, 8 miles a day. But the Indians appeared to be nervous while they were walking. Yeah. Their scouts hadn't returned. They're with Albert, but they don't know where their scouts are. And they knew something was up, something's not right. However, they were tired and they fell off to sleep, just as the notes of what sounded.
Woo-boo-woo, go to who?
Whoop-a-will. I'm not going to say go to hell. Whoop-a-will. Albert did not fall asleep. All of a sudden, he felt something cold touch his hand. He turned his head to see the glittering of a knife blade. Cut all his limbs. He was free. He rose carefully. Then, crack of a stick. Stepped on a stick. A yell was instant. He heard the crack of a rifle. A second rifle rang out, and the other 2 Indians headed off into the woods. Then a hand was placed on Albert's shoulders, and the words, "You are saved, my lad." Wenzel had come back, and he went off to get the deer. Remember, he didn't come back with that. But he came back, and he knew they were gone, and he tracked them and shot 2 more Indians, and the other ones ran off. Wenzel told of his adventure while he was gone. Yes, he had killed the scouts. He'd been following the trail to save Albert and Rose. They talked that night about the enemy, agreed by both. They would leave in the morning, set off to the direction of the camp where Rose had been recaptured. When they did that, they passed the skeletons of the renegade and the Indian. By this time, Albert was losing it.
Yeah.
He was overcome with grief that he'd never see his love again, and Lewis was having a hard time with this. However, he hung with his buddy through all the tears and the sobbing and everything. Albert cried all the time.
All the time.
Over the loss of his woman. I mean, now that
He
is
had a
true.
bad-
That is,
Well, it's like your first love. Do you remember your first love?
Yes.
Who was it?
I knew you were going there. Okay.
I think I know.
Do you want
who
me
it
to say
is.
Bobby Glugly?
No, that was my first love.
All right.
She
So
tried to take you.
our heroes finally arrived. You're Bobby Glugly?
I know
didn't
you-
try to take him.
I think you did.
Oh, you did.
You were kissing on him.
Our heroes arrived.
He told me. Whip-a-woo.
I bet he did.
Go to woo.
All right. Our heroes arrive at a station or like a fort. Okay, it's not really a fort, but they call it kind of a station. And that was on the Hocking River. And the people at the station were told all about the plight of Albert and Lewis from their own mouths, and they knew the legend of Wenzel, okay, of Lewis Wenzel. So the heroes stayed there in the fort overnight, and then they left again to go find Forest Rose. So now we get to Mount Pleasant, or Standing Stone, as it was called. And I put this in here because I thought this was really important. For those of you, as a kid, my mom would take us to Mount Pleasant because it was free, Rising Park, and then she would give us a dime to run up to the top of the mountain, okay? She got to walk leisurely behind us, and sometimes when we got onto it, we cheated and said we made it, but we didn't really go to get the dime, okay? Mount Pleasant, or Standing Stone. Across the open field of grass and wildflowers, our heroes went. They stayed low and quiet. At a short distance, the elevation of Standing Stone, and we're going to have a picture of it on that was kind of in that time, but a lot later. It looks like a pyramid. Its base is some 1.5 miles wide in circumference, and its highest point, not more than 100 yards in length and 30 in breadth. Its northern, southern, and eastern sides are full gullies and ravines. If you've ever been there, you kind of know what we're talking about. I mean, it's just kind of straight down. But the western side rises some 200 feet above the plains. So once you reach that summit, Standing Stone, you have a commanding view of the plain below. Today we go up there and you just see Lancaster. But you can imagine what it must have looked like.
It's like the fairgrounds when you get up there, right? You can
Yeah,
see
you're
the
looking down at the fairgrounds. But can you imagine what it must have looked like with no,
Yeah.
no buildings, no nothing, woods at the field. The summit can be reached in only one direction, and that over a space where only 2 people can go abreast. So if you're going up the summit at this period, only 2 people can walk together. If somebody's coming this way, you got to do a little work.
So Lewis said, "Be quiet."
Yeah.
But Albert said he didn't hear anything, but right then the voices of Indians were heard.
Yes.
They ceased talking and used hand signals. Lewis said this is one of nature's forts, and if we can get to the top, we might be able to save ourselves and have a view of the village. If we get there safely, we hide ourselves in caves and holes, pulling, dragging, planting their feet on jagged
Craigs.
crag. What's a crag?
It's like a crack.
All right. Okay, I said that first. Jagged of cliffs. They gradually raised themselves up until they stood upon the very backbone of Standing Stone.
And the scene
It was staggering.
that burst, yeah. They were like, what? Yes.
And then a hunky monkey went by.
Yeah, we're not going to talk.
All right,
Oh
another
my
one.
gosh, will you just go?
Everybody knows what a hunky
We're
monkey
right in the
All right.
middle of them staggering off the cliff. Go
All
on.
right then. From where they stood, our 2 gallant scouts commanded one of the most extensive and picturesque views to be seen in any part of the Great West.
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable.
100 feet below them was an almost perpendicular wall of stone, so smooth and upright that no one could climb it. On this plain, in full view, and a half a mile, was the village of Wyandotte.
And get ready for this.
Because that was Lancaster, right?
Yes, but
Consisting of more than 100 wigwams.
100 wigwams. They climb up at the top of this mountain looking for that silly Forrest Rose who keeps getting captured, and they look out and there's 100 wigwams. I think we stumbled into the village.
So they looked at these wigwams, and then there was one big wigwam.
Yeah,
Had like columns and a fireplace and everything.
Yeah.
That was the chief.
that was Chief's.
And it was on the field of the Hocking River. So the spectators were shawmen, squaws, children, papoose. Albert had in his possession a fine telescope from the fort. They
Yeah.
could see everything going on.
Yeah, so they could watch him. Okay?
They watched
Which
the
was pretty
warriors.
impressive that he got that little telescope.
Yeah, I didn't know you had telescopes in the
Yeah.
1700s.
What do you mean ships them?
1700s?
Yeah,
Where'd you go?
Christopher Columbus had a
Where do you get
telescope.
one? The telescope?
Dollar store again.
It's the dollar store. In Wyandotte?
Yes.
They watched as the warriors played their games,
This
throwing
is pretty cool.
tomahawks on for hours. Albert took a look at the warrior throwing as much noise as made him around him. He tells Lewis to look. Know him, says Albert. Yes, Owahiga, the leader of the party that captured me and Rose.
Yes, that Indian warrior, Owahiga, who said, "Where's the fourth? Where's the fourth, people? Where's the scouts?" He was
How's
there.
that go?
He, "Where's the fourth, people? Where's the scouts?" He was there throwing tomahawks.
Tomahawks.
All right.
A huge whoop
Whoop.
went up. Whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, went up, and the Indians were gathering. The Huron warriors joined the Shawnees warriors, and then the Wyandotte. They were all taking part in the games. It's like Olympics down there.
Oh, yeah, it says that right there.
Simone Biles.
Just go on.
That day in this complete attire of beads and feathers was Tarhi,
Tarhi.
the chief of the Wyandottes.
Yeah, he was a bad boy.
He's a bad
Tarhi.
boy.
And I think some of your Ohio history and stuff, and maybe some librarians that we might know, might look up Tarhi, because, you know, he was a bad dude.
And they were the best warriors, and they were like getting gold medals and things, and it was really...
Well, he was the head chief of the Wyandotte Nation, Tarhi. So, you know, they were a rough group. So they were coming together for this stuff, the most powerful and bloodthirsty of all the Northwest Territory. Like you said, it was like the Olympics, it's like the decathlon. You know, the best chiefs and the best warriors from all the plains or all the area were there looking for the gold medal.
They should have gold medal, like podcast medals in the Olympics. We
Yes.
could join that.
We could get a medal. We needed to
Silver.
work a little bit harder.
We got
Well, the sun went down, and our heroes, they take shelter in a cave. Now, there's a lot of caves on Standing Stone, so I can see them being in it. And
Hiding.
we looked in the one. I think you have a picture of you climbing in the one cave that they might have been hiding in, but
Yes,
I'm not
I did.
sure.
I went in there and I set up shop.
That's right, because Wenzel said, "This is a charming place, and it couldn't have been better if I had made it myself." They ate, put their rifles beside them, and went to sleep. Hey, thanks for watching us tonight, Body Talk.
Body talk.
We want you to tune in for episode 2 of what really happened to Forrest Rose and her boyfriend.
You're going to love it.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Subscribe. Talk to you soon.